Hi everyone, Queeveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to take a look into the month of April to see what will be coming up in the sky. Taking a look firstly for sunset on the 1st of April, Venus is nice and bright, quite far from the sun in the sky, so it will be nice and easy to see. Jupiter is still coming out nice and early. We're here at about 10 to 9 and the sky is still quite bright. We'll have to wait until significantly later for the sky to actually get dark. Even here at 9:15, there's still a little bit of light. By the time it's truly dark, Venus has left the sky here at about 9:45. We can still see Jupiter and Gemini and Orion all now more towards the southwest, with Leo starting to come up towards the south. The moon is going to be full on the 1st. We're seeing it here at 99.9% full. That's just about the fullest that we're going to get to see it here in Ireland. But here we go, the more or less almost entirely full moon on the 1st of April. So we'll be getting our new moon pretty close to the 17th. So around the middle of the month will be the best time to look for fainter objects like the Milky Way and galaxies. Moving forward towards morning time, from here in Ireland, there's a good chance that we won't see too much. Although the planet Mercury is coming up to its greatest western elongation, which is when we should be able to see it in the morning. Getting rid of the atmosphere here and moving a little bit closer to sunrise, there's Mercury, Mars and Saturn all next to the sun as the sun rises. And just around there on the 2nd and 3rd, Mercury reaches its greatest elongation. It then starts getting closer to the sun in the sky from our perspective. But due to the angle at which we're seeing these planets from here in Ireland, we're not going to get to see Mercury even at its greatest elongation, simply because of the light of the sun. And it's not the only thing. If we continue moving forward here, we can see a triple conjunction, Mercury, Saturn and Mars all together on the 20th of April. And taking a closer look, Neptune is out there as well, pretty close to the other planets. If we move back a little bit, just here on the 16th, and we can see the moon is almost new, so we do have our new moon pretty much on the 17th. But there's the moon, just a tiny crescent moon with Saturn, Mars, Neptune and Mercury all together in the sky. That's not going to be visible from here in Ireland, just because those planets will be too close to the sun, too close to the horizon for us to actually see them. Once I turn back on the atmosphere here, they all get wiped out except for just about the moon. It would just about be visible. We will hop down to the equator to take a closer look at those objects from a location where they should actually be visible. Moving around to sunset a little bit later in the month, we have Uranus here and Venus already quite close together, so Venus is also quite close to the Pleiades. As we move forward, we'll see a very close conjunction between Venus and Uranus here on the 23rd of April. So we can see Venus and Uranus very close together for a couple of days, and Venus then of course very close to the Pleiades as well. This, or at least the Venus portion of this, might be visible. Yes, I think it will be visible from our location here in Ireland. So there's Venus, definitely visible while it's right next to Uranus, but by the time the sky gets dark enough for Uranus to also be visible, even without the trees in the way, it would be very, very close to the horizon. So again, this is something that should look better from closer to the equator. So we're going to jump down to lower latitudes. We'll stick to the northern hemisphere to start with, but we're going to jump down a little bit closer to the equator, just down to around here, coming into southern Europe. And to give ourselves the best possible chance, we'll get rid of any trees or buildings that could block our view, as if we were looking at these things from the coast. And there is Venus and the Pleiades and Uranus still above the horizon as the sun is going down. Dark enough to point a telescope at Uranus, but of course when it's this close to the horizon, there is going to be a lot of atmosphere in the way. Given that we're closer to the equator, we can see Uranus and Venus much higher in the sky, while there's still a reasonable level of darkness, and we can see them there. Definitely in Taurus, right between, just underneath the Pleiades, and a little bit closer to the Hyades than the Pleiades. But of course, Venus is so bright, its position in the sky is going to be obvious as long as it's above the horizon and it's dark enough. Moving forward to or around to morning time, we'll come back to the 20th just to check, and of course we'll come back to the 3rd as well to check for Mercury's greatest elongation. But it looks like, okay, Mercury is visible, but even from this, still northern latitude, but more southerly northern latitude, we're not getting to see that wonderful close conjunction of the planets. So we'll go a little bit closer to the equator. We still won't go all the way just yet. We'll stay in the northern hemisphere, just closer to the equator. We'll leave the sun go down. And there they are. There are the planets. So we've got Mercury, Saturn, and Mars all visible because they are visible. Here they are on the 18th. We can see here on the 16th when the moon would be there. Mars, Mercury, and Saturn are visible. Neptune, of course, is right out there as well. But this conjunction, it is visible from the northern hemisphere. We're here at 22 degrees north. So definitely still the northern hemisphere, but much, much closer to the equator. We're going to come back to Mercury's greatest elongation again. From this close to the equator, Mercury's greatest elongation would be quite easy to see. It's definitely up before the sun. It's visible as a bright dot, and it will get high enough, just barely high enough, that you could maybe point a telescope at it before things get too bright for that to be safe, simply because of the extra light of the sun. We can see as we move forward that Mars is getting further from the sun and being almost outstripped here by Saturn. It's going to take a while for Mars to actually move far enough from the sun to be easily visible, certainly from our more northerly latitude here in Ireland. We'll bring up the sun and come back to Mercury's greatest elongation. We'll also come back to our default location here in Ireland, and we'll turn off the atmosphere to take a look for a comet. We're going to talk more about the comets that are visible in April once we get through to the next video. So the very next video we will talk more about the comets that are visible in April, but we can see this comet here. This comet is C2026 A1 MAPS. It's getting its closest position to the sun just around there on the 4th of April. So it is going to be very close to the sun, but it's going to be moving away from the sun as we get further into April, which should bring it into a position where it's going to be visible through binoculars. It's not the only comet that is getting close to the sun, having its perihelion and moving in a position where it should be visible from the Earth during the month of April. There is more, but we're going to talk about that in the next video. For now, we're going to move all the way back to the end of the month through to the 23rd. This is around the time that Venus and Uranus would be having their close conjunction. We can also see the Moon and Jupiter very, very close together on those dates as well. But we're going to move not too close to morning time, I think. Yep, we're already close enough here, just coming up to 11 o'clock. The summer triangle is starting to come above the horizon, and we're looking for the Lyrid meteor shower. So this is the Lyrid meteor shower. It radiates from around the constellation of Lyra, and we can see here we're currently getting 0 to 86 because this is a variable shower that could give 0 to 90. So this is pretty close. This is a pretty good view of them, not absolutely at their peak by the time they come above the horizon. They're at the peak while the sky is still bright for us here in Ireland, but they are above the horizon. By the time the sky is dark and by the time they're a little higher in the sky, the actual zenith hourly rate will go down, but we can see them getting up to the 30s there as we come up to earlier in the morning. They're a little bit lower, closer to peaking at the 20s for the local hourly rate here while we're still in the evening. So the Lyrids, they are a variable shower. I think around the 25 or 30 is the expected zenith hourly rate for them this year, which means we'd get a little bit less again here in Ireland, but that is a meteor shower coming up at the end of the month as well. So that's a few of the important events and also where they will be visible from. So although we will get to see a few planets from here in Ireland, the really good conjunctions are going to be reserved for people closer to the equator. And of course there are a couple of comets in the sky which we will talk about next time. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like it. If you like this kind of content, then please subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can also read this information on my website, queebeanscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.